Minister, my question is very specific in relation to what engagement have you had with your counterparts in other EU countries regarding the recent draft resolution which Ireland voted in support of by the Special Political and Decolonisation Committee, requesting an advisory opinion from the International Court of Justice on Israel's occupation of Palestinian lands since 1967. And I should say that resolution is very detailed and is 9 pages long and with very serious language used. Thanks.
Minister.
I'm familiar with the Deputy because we supported it. We were one of the few EU countries to do that. I think one of only 5. Others either abstained or voted against. At the outset, I wish to take this opportunity to convey my heartfelt sympathy and condolences to the families of those killed and injured in the tragic fire in the Jabalia refugee camp in Gaza, which happened a few days ago. But turning to the Deputy's question, I welcomed the adoption by the UN Fourth Committee of the resolution on Israeli practices affecting the human rights of Palestinian people in the occupied Palestinian territory, including East Jerusalem. This resolution addresses a number of key concerns that are consistent with Ireland's long-standing position, including calling for urgent measures to ensure the safety and protection of Palestinian civilians and demanding that Israel cease all of its settlement activities. It's been supported by Ireland in successive sessions of the General Assembly, including this year. An important new element in this year's resolution was a request to the International Court of Justice for an advisory opinion on issues arising from Israel's continuing occupation of Palestinian territory. The ICJ is the principal judicial organ of the United Nations. Advisory opinions of the court, while not legally binding, can nevertheless contribute to the clarification of international law and therefore, given the authority of the court, may carry significant weight. The deteriorating situation on the ground in the occupied Palestinian territory is deeply concerning, and it is important that the international community supports Palestinian efforts to seek legal responses to the occupation. Ireland is a firm supporter of the ICJ and welcomes the increased recourse of states to its advisory role in clarifying international law. In accordance with normal practice, there has been regular and structured coordination between EU member states on the ground in New York on this and other resolutions to be acted upon by the UN General Assembly. While a common EU voting position was not possible for this resolution, I welcome the constructive engagement between the Palestinian Observer Mission to the United Nations and the EU and its member states on all resolutions relating to the situation in the occupied Palestinian territories.
Mr. Deputy.
Thank you, Minister. I can take it as a foregone conclusion then that you will be supporting it when it comes before the full. Thank you for clarifying that. And just in relation to Palestine, I know you're on record as being a strong advocate for the Palestinian people, but while you're on record for that, it seems that we wait for Europe on an awful lot of occasions to see what the European position is. On this particular position, it's divided, although I see that 98 countries generally voted for it, 17 against and 52 abstentions. And so what I'm asking you, Minister, is to use your position on the UN Security Council, temporary and all as it is, to stand up for the Palestinian people. And I say that in the context of the 6 organisations that have been designated as terrorist organisations. A year has elapsed now. And during that year, you and a joint statement from 10 EU member states, including Ireland, said there's no substantial evidence has been provided by Israel in relation to designating them as terrorist organisations, yet they still remain terrorist organisations. I'll keep to my time.
Yeah, Deputy, as you know, I've been vocal on that issue and I continue to be. I remain seriously concerned by the designation by Israel of 6 Palestinian NGOs as terrorist organisations, including Irish Aid and EU partner organisations as terrorist entities. This designation has the potential to affect not only these 6 organisations, but civil society more broadly across the occupied Palestinian territory, and to seriously undermine vital humanitarian development and human rights work. This issue continues to be a priority for Ireland. In the context of the UN Security Council, Ireland has repeatedly raised this matter in monthly meetings of the Security Council, stressing our continued commitment to support for civil society. Deputy, we have over and over again asked for the evidence that is the basis for this designation, and we have yet to see anything credible that links these NGOs to terrorist activity. And I think the EU has the same position as in the EU institutions. Obviously, different countries within the EU take different positions. But I can only speak for Ireland, and we will continue to raise this issue. It is so important that there is a strong presence of civil society and non-governmental organisations across the West Bank, within Gaza, so that people can speak the truth. They can challenge legally certain decisions. That's how democracies work. And we will continue to support the organisations that we've been working with.
See, democracy is not working when it comes to Israel, Minister. And the problem is the effects of that on the ground. So the organisations that have been designated as terrorist organisations have been directly affected. They have been raided, ransacked and forcibly closed, with equipment confiscated. How long more are we going to wait before we do something in relation to that designation? That designation has to be lifted. How long more are we going to wait as a government before we give a response to the Amnesty report, which said that Israel operates an apartheid system? When are we going to get the considered opinion from you and the department in relation to our official reaction to that? We were told in, I think, June of this year that you were looking at it. No substantive response. In June the 21st, with regard to the recommendations and conclusions of the Amnesty report, Ireland will continue to engage with these to influence our approach. Now really, if they're not weasel words, Minister, so there's an Amnesty report with damning conclusions and findings. What is now our official considered response, given the lapse of time since the publication of the report?
Deputy, it's kind of unfortunate that you choose to use terms like weasel words and so on an issue like this. Ireland,
I'll withdraw
I listen to you.
I'll withdraw those words. I'll withdraw those words in the interest of making progress in relation to this very serious issue.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Ireland, in my view, is one of the most credible voices on the planet in relation to the Palestinian-Israeli issue. And we continue to be at the centre of debate within the EU, trying to make progress where that is not easy, because getting any form of consensus across the EU in relation to new thinking and new action when it comes to the Middle East peace process has proven very difficult. But believe me, we've been trying. And we will continue to try between now and the end of the year. I'm speaking to a number of other foreign ministers who have a similar view on these issues to Ireland, to see if we can build consensus in relation to trying to introduce some new thinking in a way that can support democracy across Palestine, and of course can raise serious questions with the new Israeli government in terms of their own responsibilities. That's how we make a difference, rather than making grand statements or issuing press releases in response to reports and so on. Actually trying to change something on the ground in terms of the EU's approach towards this issue, in terms of our relationship with the Israeli government and with the Palestinian Authority.